I would say don't go out and buy the most expensive camera on the market because the photographer takes the picture, not the camera. So if you can't see compositionally, then all your photos are going to be
Spencer
bad.
Lee is a local photographer living on the island of Oahu. And I can't wait for you to hear a little bit more about his story and how he got started with photography. And photography wasn't even on his radar. And it's pretty cool what he's been able to do through his art. And you're going to hear more about his story and a little bit about his passion for nursing and how he balances taking these amazing photos and also having time to be a full-time student. So stay tuned. It's going to be a good one.
Aloha. Welcome to Hawaii's Best Podcast. Learn the stories behind Hawaii's best experiences, influencers, and businesses. Discover everything that makes Hawaii the Aloha State. And now your host, Bryan Murphy.
Well, welcome again to Hawaii's Best, where we explore Hawaii's best experiences, businesses, and influencers, and hear the story from the people behind them. Well, today we are spoiled to have Spencer Lee with us on episode 3 of Hawaii's Best. You're going to want to stick around to the end of this episode because I'm going to be giving our social media challenge for the week. And also, why don't you go ahead and just take a minute right now and hit subscribe. That way, it lets us know that you want more episodes and you want to hear more about some of the best experiences in Hawaii. So hit subscribe and go ahead and share this episode with a few other people who love Hawaii. Well, right now, we're going to go ahead and talk story with Spencer Lee.
Let's talk story.
Spencer, hey, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you, Brian, for having me. It's a pleasure to be on here.
Yeah, absolutely. You and I, we kind of met virtually on Instagram.
Yeah.
And what caught my eye is seeing a lot of your photos being shared and shouted out by some very large travel accounts. And I just think that's really cool.
Thank you.
But how does that make you feel and what's that like?
It's an honor, to be honest. Like, I'm just happy that people are finding like appreciation for what I like to do. I'm not really doing anything to, I guess, like impress like people. I mean, I guess I am, but like I'm just doing photography and posting it just because I love to do it and not really trying to make money off of it yet. I mean, that's not part of the reason why I started. So it's just awesome to see how people react to it and how positive the reaction has been.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about how you started.
So in high school, I played basketball, but if you ever met me in person, you know, like I'm the shortest person alive. Like I'm 5'4". So the basketball career ended a little early. And basically when basketball stopped, then I still wanted to be around the game. I still wanted to be involved with the game of basketball. So at Kaiser High School, where I graduated, there was a program called Kaiser Sports News. It's kind of like a sports center, but just for Kaiser athletics. And so I started to become one of their main photographer, videographer people for football, basketball, any other major sports that needed to be covered at that time. And, you know, after I picked up the camera, then I was like always, you know, trying to figure out what would get the best picture, how to use the light correctly. Looking past the game, I would always also look at, you know, the amazing sunsets that were happening during the game. And I was like, oh, you know, maybe I should just go to the bay when there isn't a game going on and shoot the sunset. And then that eventually led to me getting into more sunrises, more adventures, and going up in the mountains to get an amazing landscape, and kind of just fell down the rabbit hole from there.
So would you say you were self-taught, or?
I would say that a lot of it is not self-taught, even though like I haven't like taken you know, like gone to formal photography school. I did take like 2 photography classes during high school, which taught me a little bit, but it didn't really teach me much. It was kind of just like, oh, take a picture and talk about it and like why it's good. And which is like a good way to learn, but it didn't really teach me anything like about how to work my camera or compositionally. I just feel like it didn't teach me much. So I don't really count that. But YouTube was like my main form of education. I still watch to this day and like go hard on the YouTube and like watch hours and just get so much into like the technical aspect as well as like the compositional aspect and how to use lighting and what settings on the camera is like best for this situation, like how do we read weather correctly and all of that. And that's kind of just how I learned.
I'm thinking for a lot of people who are listening right now, and maybe they have a passion for photography, or maybe they just want to capture some memories of their trip. What are some tips you would give somebody who is just picking up the camera, maybe for the first time?
Yeah, I would say don't go out and buy the most expensive camera on the market, because the photographer takes the picture, not the camera. So if you can't see compositionally, then all your photos are going to be bad, regardless of what camera you use. So I would just say, if you're just starting off getting interested in it, go out with your iPhone or whatever smartphone that you have that has a pretty decent camera, and work on like composition, work on just pointing the camera in all sorts of directions to see and try and like learn about what looks best in a photograph. Because just because you see something with your eyes doesn't mean that it's a good photograph. You have to be able to compose it correctly, making all the elements in that photograph work together cohesively to produce a pleasant image. And if you feel like, you know, you're doing a pretty good job and you're enjoying the whole process of learning how photography works and learning about lighting, learning about, again, composition. Composition is king in everything in photography. Then I would say, you know, go out and buy an entry-level DSLR mirrorless camera, and then just upgrade from there depending on how much more into it you're getting, and yeah, what suits your needs based off of that.
I could imagine living on Oahu and just being surrounded by the beautiful land and nature.
Yeah.
Is that something that you've always been drawn towards, or has that been a passion recently?
I wouldn't say so as much as I am now. I mean, I guess you could say that I've always like had an appreciation for it. I would always be driving in my car looking at, oh, look, the sky looks really nice at sunset, or, oh, wow, look at those mountains. They look really amazing. But until you actually get out, like make an effort to go out and like go to the beach or go hiking, that's like a whole new different realm of possibilities that you can do, like week-long hikes in the mountains, or you know, some insane stuff. It's just a whole entire new universe.
Talk a little bit more about that insane stuff. What was maybe the craziest thing that you've ever done to get the shot?
I have a lot, but so I'm not much of a camper, so I don't like do any week-long hikes, even though that, you know, that sounds awesome and fun, but, you know, I like going home, sleeping in my bed. But I would say that like this past winter break, because during the winter, the sun rises up so late that I wouldn't have much of an issue getting up early. So I would always just wake up and drive somewhere or hike somewhere and then just shoot the sunrise throughout that morning where the light is good, and then go back home and take a nap. So like that whole grind and that whole process of me just, you know, waking myself up at the crack of dawn, going out with friends, maybe just by myself, that was probably like the most, I guess, like craziest thing I would do. Like I would not think that I'd be getting up every day for sunrise.
What's going through your mind as you're shooting?
I guess most photographers would be like, oh, okay, how do I capture this scene the best? But then what's going through my mind is always like, oh, this sunrise would look really good somewhere else. Like, oh, if I was on the top of that mountain, that would have been, oh, really good. And then it's always like, oh, why didn't I do that? And like, you know, then my mind goes back to focus, goes back to like, I just like look at it and see, okay, what looks nice, and try and like focus in the attention of the photograph on that particular subject, whether it be the sky, the foreground, the grass, rocks, anything. Focus my image and build an image around that one subject.
Comparing just really kills creativity in the moment. Like,
yeah,
I should be over there.
It wastes so much time. Like, oh no.
Well, what is it like? Because I know there's a lot of photographers on Oahu, and
Yeah.
what is that community like?
I would say that. I mean, I haven't like experienced communities elsewhere around the world, but I would definitely, based off of like people who I've met traveling here, and like I just feel like this community in Hawaii is really connected. Like everybody knows each other. Like if you don't know somebody directly, then somebody that you do know knows that person, and it's really what I also really like about it is like it's a really humble community. Nobody thinks that they're better than anybody else. We all are just here to have a good time, to go out and experience the beauty of Hawaii and spend time with one another and just capture some great images. And it's not a competition or anything.
So you get out there and you shoot with other photographers as well. And
yeah, definitely.
How would you compare the different vibes as far as like the islands?
I would say that, I haven't done a lot of traveling for inter-island travel. I've just kind of focused on spending my time here, but I have from the times that I have traveled, I've traveled to Maui a lot. And what I really like about Maui is like just that down to earth kind of chill vibes. Like it's way more relaxed there, even in like Kahului or the main city there. It's really just chill, down to earth. People don't really like care if you cut them off in traffic. They're just happy people. On Oahu, it's like a little bit more hectic. A little bit, you got a lot of like crazy drivers, like kind of like mean people here, a little bit more like New York, but not as bad as New York. It's kind of like the New York of Hawaii. And then Kauai, I've never been there as like a photographer to like shoot and stuff. But from what I guess like my interpretation is just, it's very scenic, like everybody, and like chill, like Maui, where everyone's like, whatever, down to earth and like, but it's very, very scenic, like way more scenic than Oahu.
If someone's coming to the islands, say for the first time, Spencer, what would you say? What advice would you give for someone who's coming for a visit? Now, I know everyone's preferences are unique, but just in your opinion, what would you say?
Well, if you're definitely into scenic, then Kauai's Napali Coast is like the hot thing now, I guess. It's like everybody has to go to. I'm like, it sickens me that I can't go yet, but but I feel like if you're here for like I would say more than a week or so, or maybe even just a week, then Oahu's definitely like the place to go, just because of, I feel like you can do so much more here. There's so many different things you can do on Oahu. And if you are feeling like a little homesick, there's always like, the main comfort foods, and you're not like stuck in the country or anything like that. Yeah, Oahu just has so much to do. And maybe it's just because I live here, because I know what to do here and like the many different opportunities that it has. But yeah, from going up to the North Shore to go diving on the west side to surfing in Waikiki to just driving down the east coast of Oahu, like there's so much to do.
With your photography, what's kind of the driving vision behind that right now? Where do you hoping to see that in a few months or a couple of years?
I guess my New Year's resolution for like this year, which should manifest itself within a few months, is to really start being more serious about selling prints and stuff. Because the main reason, I'm going to be blatantly honest with you, is like I'm broke. I'm a college student.
Sure.
I got to get paid somehow. That's going to be like the main reason why I'm doing it. But then it's also to provide somebody with like a physical copy of my work, so that they can actually see, the small little details that you can miss on the phone screen. That, I really do stress about when it comes to like editing and stuff. Like I'll scroll down and I'll pick out like every small little detail and like focus in on those kind of things.
Tell me a little bit how you keep all this. I don't want to say balance, because that's kind of a real balance doesn't really exist. Something has to give somewhere.
Yeah.
But you're in school, you're getting up, for sunrises, and you're spending this time editing and posting and wanting to build this business. How do you keep things prioritized, or just kind of in perspective?
I would first just say that my number one priority is always going to be nursing and school. Just getting through this nursing degree, because as much as I hate like the schoolwork, like homework and taking tests and all that, I really enjoy the nursing profession. I really enjoy helping people and making a difference within their lives. If they're in a hospital going through a really bad situation, I want to be that person that helps them get through it. So school always has, my top priority, but yeah, I don't know if you how much you or other people know about nursing school. Is that it's almost like going to medical school, but for nurses, to a lesser degree, but it's still really stressful and really, you can get really burnt out if you just overwork yourself. So I think that always being able to set time once you feel a little bit of burnout coming, to try and just sit, take a break, take your mind off of things by doing the photography aspect, working on something else, editing pictures or going out. It's always a good way to keep balance. And I try my best to set time by itself just for that purpose when it's school year. But once school is out, then I'm going hard, sunrise every morning.
Yeah.
Editing till late at night. And and coffee is my best friend.
Yeah. Maybe take us a little around the island a little bit. What are some of your favorite spots maybe for you to go and maybe recharge, refresh, or just out with friends?
I live in Hawaii, so it's a pretty central hub you have so much to do. You can hike up Cocoa Head. That's always a killer hike, or hike up Hanauma Bay, or go to the actual Hanauma Bay. That's always a good one. I really enjoy shooting over there just because Hanauma Bay is so tucked in. You don't see anything like that ever, or very rarely pictures like that. So it's interesting. Traveling up the coast, then the Waimanalo area, those beaches are just amazing. They're bluest water you'll ever see, with Rabbit Island in the back. It's one of the most unique sights you'll see on Oahu. Going up to Lani Kai, then the Mokes is always good. Then to Kaneohe with all the hiking spots like Stairway to Heaven, all the Pali places, and other trails that are unknown, but people still somehow find a way up to the top of the mountain. Just that whole Ko'ola mountain range is just absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Going up further north, then it's Chinaman's Hat is always a good place to just, whether you want to just shoot the islands or fly your drone around it, or it's just an awesome area. And then going around the top of the island, then there's going to the North Shore, depending on what you're into. I'm not much of a surf photographer, so I haven't made my way up yet to catch those big waves, but the big waves in the winter and just pristine water in the summer. It's crazy to see the sharp difference between the two during the seasons. And then West Side, the unique landscape that's over there and the water that's over there, it looks like you're definitely on a different island. It's unlike any other place. And then coming back around, coming through town, then Waikiki is always a good surf spot, good place to just, relax, unwind, get something to eat, stuff like that. And then back in Hawaii Kai.
There you go. What does aloha, it's used so much in so many different ways, but what does it mean to you?
Aloha means love, and debate that if you will, but that is the gross and pure definition of that word. And love in itself in English can be manifested in many ways. It can be that close, intimate love that partners share for one another, that families share for one another. That's aloha, that's love. It can also, I feel like aloha is even more powerful than the word love, because we don't use the word love to describe strangers, acquaintances and all that, but aloha can transcend that realm, and it's more like you're allowed to express appreciation for somebody, even though you're not family. You're allowed to express that love to somebody else who's not blood related to you or close related to you. So yeah, that's one of got to be the best Hawaiian word, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. When someone's coming to visit, maybe on Oahu, what are some things, it may be just in your opinion, because everyone is kind of different in this, but what are some things for someone who's coming to, because obviously Hawaii is part of the U.S., but it's such a whole other world,
Right.
whole other cultures, What is something, in your opinion, for someone coming for a vacation or visit, like, hey, let's not make sure we do that. Like just maybe some etiquette. What would you say to that?
I would say number one, like the most important thing is to clean up after yourself. It's so sad to see places like get trashed by people who are, not just like travelers and like tourists and all that, but locals too, to just have like piles of trash all over the place. And like, it just makes everything less enjoyable. So whatever you bring to the beach, up into the mountains, anywhere you go, you should always bring a plastic bag to pack your trash in and just carry it out, because you're just going to ruin the spots for not just yourself, but everybody else. So just be respectful. The ancient Hawaiians believed that they were never entitled to a specific spot. And I believe that you shouldn't either. You're a guest in wherever you're going. So be respectful. If you aren't respectful, then, the universe will find its way to be disrespectful back to you. So kind of just, what comes around goes around.
Mm-hmm.
That's just like my pet peeve.
Yep. So
yeah. Definitely that. And like driving here is different than driving on the mainland. So the main thing is to, don't be mean to other people.
Right.
Drive like you're from the mainland. I guess I would say like you kind of just have to learn to drive like a Hawaiian.
People usually drive the speed limit that's posted, which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
Compared to mainland, it's like, it's just a suggestion.
Yeah. That's totally true. So, and like, don't honk, don't use your horn. We're in Hawaii. Don't Whenever I hear one, I'm like, what is up with you? You're either not from here or you're having a really bad day.
That's funny, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, what's next for you?
What's next for me is just look out for that website, I guess.
Awesome.
To just see what can come of that. Just trying to add more internet presence for me, and just continuing to connect with other people in the community, in the Oahu photography community. It's always amazing to go out with new people, meet new people, find new perspectives, and just learn how to be not just a better photographer, but a better person, seeing how other people think and learning from them.
Well, Spencer, thanks so much for your time, man. And
yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. People want to connect with you. How can they do that?
As of right now, you can follow me on Instagram at SpencerLee808, Spencer with a C and not an S at the end, but does start with an S. I don't know. It's confusing. But yeah, that's how you can find me.
Okay, man. Hey, I'm going to hold you accountable to that website.
Yeah. I need to be held accountable because it just keeps getting delayed and delayed and delayed. And it'll come. The day will come. I'm determined this year by summer it's going to happen.
What are some other ways that photographers, obviously selling the prints, but what are some other ways, as short of from doing weddings, but what are some other ways that you can make a living doing that or getting some side income?
I would say like senior portraits are big here just because of how scenic it is. So I've done a lot of senior portraits for friends and family, and like they referred me to like their friends and all that. So
if you've done a wedding, I'm sorry, like there's nothing wrong with doing.
No. I've done a wedding just to try and do a wedding. Like I asked my friend, "Oh, can I shoot your wedding just to see what it's like?" And I absolutely hated it. So I'm not docking any wedding photographers. Like mad respect for you, but it's not my forte. Yeah, senior portraits are big here, and I would say everyone just does prints, but like a lot of stock. I know like a lot of people who make money off of just selling pictures that they take on stock websites, and it's not like a immediate gratification sort of thing, and like you get paid right away. It's more like you take a specific picture and watch how that picture builds in value over time. So it's, I guess it's like a fun task that people like to do.
Well, good, man. Well, thanks again for your time. And,
yeah, thank you for having me again.
Yeah, you got it. All right, man. Well, take care.
You too.
Well, I just want to thank Spencer again for his time and for coming on Hawaii's Best. And if you enjoyed today's interview with Spencer, go ahead and drop a comment below. And I'd love to hear what was your biggest takeaway from today's episode. For me, it was a great reminder that even though Spencer lives in Hawaii, I think there's this perception that if you live in Hawaii, you know, you're just sitting around on the beach, sipping Mai Tais, hanging out at the resorts. And that could be furthest from the truth. And I think hearing a bit more of Spencer's story, it's amazing hearing how hard he works and how diligent he is in trying to find balance in all that he does. So that is an encouragement for me, and I hope it is for you as well, as maybe there's something that you're passionate about, that you're trying to find time to squeeze in the nooks and the crannies of life. So I know we're all in different levels and just different experiences. Whatever that passion is for you, I hope that you find time to explore and put some time into honing in on what really makes your heart beat fast. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And the social media shout out of the week is going to be this. So all you got to do is take a selfie of yourself listening to this episode, post out on Instagram, and tag us at hawaiis.best, hashtag Hawaii's Best, and we'll be looking out for that, and we'll shout you out in one of our stories. So until next time, be well, aloha.
Thanks for listening to Hawaii's Best Podcast. To stay up to date on future episodes, be sure to hit the subscribe button and follow us on Instagram at hawaiis.best.